I'm absolutely moved and honored to be standing in front of you, and thank you all for this, what I think is a historic event. I would like to thank everyone for your contribution today. I will start by thanking my staff for pulling off two great events on Monday, a shipping conference, and another one today. Yesterday, I think we wrote history, and by the way, Mr. President, as John Tuttle from the New York Stock Exchange mentioned, in the 10 years that he has been at the stock exchange, the gavel has been broken only twice. And both times, the person who broke the gavel, within a very short period of time, saw great things happening to him. Positively. Of course, that's what I meant. So great things for Cyprus under your leadership are hopefully soon to be announced. Anyway, I think this event has been, Mr. President, I think this event is, if I may say two things. First of all, it's an international summit about Cyprus in New York. We are absolutely honored to have with us not only the highest level of government representation, but also the highest level of corporate leaders, and also all the major players, American companies, global companies, and major investors who are active in Cyprus today. The fact that all these people agreed to come and be part of this event today, I think shows the potential of Cyprus and the credibility also that it has achieved under your leadership. If you allow me to say, this event, like everything else in life, it has ebbs and lows, and it took some time to get off the ground. Of course, when the three ministers agreed to come, this event caught fire. And then when the president agreed to come, this event became nuclear. And everybody wanted to be part of it. So thank you for, again, spearheading this tremendous effort. When we got started, there was a team of 3-4 people who really got the whole effort started. And I would like to mention Hadjiyiannis, Lucas Barbaris, I don't know who is Lucas, and Ambassador Filippo. So if I may make a personal but improper request, Mr. President, when his term ends, do you mind if you leave him here for a bit longer? We need him and he's doing a great job. So, I would also like to mention the other people who have been really sharing the heavy burden of this event very successfully. I would like to mention, of course, Mr. Hadjiyiannis, the chairman of the president of the Shipowners, Andreas, Nicos, I will never forget, Jos Campanelas called me from Cyprus and he said, Nicholas, I have never met you in my life, but when you came and you said you wanted to do this event, I Googled you, I made a search, I asked people, and you're a credible person, I'm going to support you, I'm going to work with you, and we will go full speed ahead. So, Mr. Lakotrypis, please convey to Mr. Campanelas my personal thanks for his vote of confidence early on in the game. I would be remiss if I did not mention that this is not only an international summit about Cyprus in New York, but also a great testament of what private and public partnership can achieve. And with that, we have a great partner in SIPA. I would like to thank the chairman, Mr. Anastasiades, and of course Natasha, who has been, as I said, the most effective link between Capital Link and SIPA. So thank you for your partnership. And of course, in New York, I would like to thank Mr. Nicos Nicolaou, and Oscar Kellas. But also I'd like to say, the great new friends we have made. Stavros Panzaris from Ernst & Young, they are also the lead sponsor of the event, along with the Shipowners Union. Andreas of Deloitte. We had great support from them both in Cyprus and here. Again, all these people, you know, they got energized, they were calling other speakers, they contributed financially, they contributed mentally, they contributed positive, good energy, and the result of all that good energy is what we have here today. I would like also to mention Andreas Hadjiyiannis, Vestina, and Socrates from Top of your group, Theodosiou. Thank you guys very much. I have left Aristos Constantine last, not because he's the least, but the last person gets, you know, a lot of attention. So I'd like to thank also the Trade Commissioner for his help and involvement. And now I would like to go and thank all of those who contributed financially. I start with Nicos. Nicos was one of the very first persons. Thank you for sponsoring the lunch, because this event needed some financial support and, you know, also your own support. So thank you. Nicos also got all the other Cypriot American investors who are investing in Cyprus to be on the panel. So thank you very much for your support. I'd like to thank, of course, the main sponsors, the Cyprus Shipowners Union, Ernst & Young, CIPA. I would like also to thank the Hellenic Bank, Bank of Cyprus, the Cooperative Bank, Deloitte, St. Parkers, Columbia Ship Management, McKinsey and Company, Price Waterhouse, Total Field Maritime, and KPMG, and Citibank for hosting the dinner yesterday. And I will conclude with the following. When I got started and I started calling everybody who was doing this event, please come and everything, people were saying, well, you know, Nicholas, if this bank is involved, we cannot be involved. If this auditing firm is involved, we would like to be the only ones. And I said, guys, we are doing something for Cyprus. And the end result, Mr. President, which frankly is a testament to the patriotism of everyone, is that everybody got on board. I mean, I'm so proud, not only that we have all the government representation with us from the US and Cyprus, we got all the banks, all the auditing firms, all the energy companies, all the investors. So your calling, when I said that the president is coming, everybody stood in line and they said we're ready for battle. So Mr. President, thank you for your leadership. It proved us well how effective it is in this event. And anyway, I will now, I forgot to mention also first Athens, Flot and Company, Lemmy Solar, and the Tornarevis Law Firm. Thank you, you guys as well. And now I will introduce our first keynote speaker. The fact that we have with us today not only the senior representation government-wise from Cyprus, but also from the American government, I think it's tremendous. And here we have not only a very senior representative of the American government, Deputy Assistant Secretary Jonathan Cohen, but also a friend of Cyprus. So due to the warm welcome received and generous friendships made in Cyprus, Cyprus feels like home for Jonathan. From Trolos to Konos to Paphos, from sea turtle hatchings to archaeological digs to exploring crusader castles, from Sula to Halloumi to Commanderia, his family thoroughly enjoyed their years in Cyprus. Jonathan feels lucky to have been a part of life on the island and happy each time he returns. He wants to see its success and prosperity grow. He had no idea the first time he visited there in 1986 on a ferry boat stop between Haifa and Rhodes that this island, Cyprus, would play such an important part in his story 31 years later. As chargé d'affaires in January and February 2011, Jonathan oversaw the evacuation of hundreds of Americans from Egypt to Cyprus, demonstrating, as it had in the evacuation from Lebanon in 2006, that Cyprus played a key role in keeping Americans safe in a volatile region. Let me repeat that. Keeping Americans safe in a volatile region. Over 3 years, Jonathan worked with the American staff and high-level Cypriots to broaden U.S. relations beyond a reunification focus, including via building economic ties and people-to-people programs. Within the U.S. mission, Jonathan devoted himself to building cohesion between the Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot staff. He got The locally employed staff to organize social events that brought them and their families from both communities together with their American staff. Because we believed that we needed to be an example to those who said bi-communal solutions couldn't work. They did work and they can work. And anyway, I will conclude by saying that raising his preteen and teenage daughters in Nicosia, where they had great friends, received great schooling, and benefited from a safe and warm environment, Jonathan felt more like a friendly village than a big city. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to ask Deputy Assistant Secretary Jonathan Cohen to deliver the first keynote remarks before the President takes over.
President, Ministers, Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, friends, good afternoon. It is a pleasure and a particular honor to be here and share the stage today with President Anastasiades. And I want to thank the organizers of Capital Link for hosting this forum and for including me. I also want to thank and welcome our friends from the Republic of Cyprus. The ministers, the President, investors, business representatives. We're thrilled to have you here at this exceptional gathering, and those who sat through this morning's presentations heard the really remarkable things that are happening on the island. As was so kindly noted when I was introduced, I served in Cyprus and the broader region for much of my career. I've invested my time and my heart in trying to build better relations between the United States and Cyprus, and have a deep attachment to the island and fond memories of my time there. I also have a great sense of hope for the future of Cyprus, its people, and the Eastern Mediterranean in general. It is really inspiring to see how far things have come since 2013. When I left the island in 2011, we were struggling to get American investors to pay attention to Cyprus as a place that had great potential. We were focused on small to medium-sized investors, franchises, and Noble Energy was really the cutting edge. Now when I look and I see the investments from Exxon, from Hard Rock Cafe, from major investments in the banking sector, it is really a sea change, and I'm proud to see the role that American investment has played in helping the Cypriot economy bounce back. Cyprus is an island of proven ability, and yet it remains an island of unrealized potential. There are great, promising investment opportunities there in tourism, technology, shipping, energy. But Cyprus could be the Singapore of the Mediterranean if it can realize its full potential. I believe to realize that full potential, it needs to grow the stable, peaceful, and integrated environment on all sides, and reunification is a key piece in that. A reunified Cyprus could give investors even more opportunities like redeveloping Varosha, developing Old Nicosia and the buffer zone, as well as major infrastructure projects like expanding ports and airports, reconnecting roads, electricity grids, and telecommunication lines. To the United States of America, the Republic of Cyprus is a valued friend and a strategic partner. Cyprus is a member of the Counter-ISIS Coalition, and Foreign Minister Kassoulidis is in Washington today for the Counter-ISIS Ministerial, and had an excellent meeting yesterday with Undersecretary of State Tom Shannon and myself. The U.S. appreciates Cyprus' contributions to bringing stability to its region, and in recent years we've worked together to try and increase bilateral cooperation in Cyprus, particularly in the areas of counterterrorism, non-proliferation, and maritime and border security. We've provided counterterrorism training and training on explosive ordnance disposal and stockpile management to Cypriot officials. And Cyprus has become a partner in the Proliferation Security Initiative, which is a global effort to prevent the trafficking of weapons of mass destruction, their delivery systems, and related materials. And Cyprus continues to participate in the Department of State's export control and related border security programs as a graduate partner, and even hosts regional trainings for partner countries in the Eastern Mediterranean. These are just a few examples of the areas where we're working together to strengthen our bilateral security relationship, and we'll continue to look for mutually beneficial ways to enhance that cooperation. We also note that Cyprus has worked hard to build partnerships with key regional partners, including through promoting trilateral cooperation with Greece and partners in Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon, in areas like energy, resource management, environmental protection, humanitarian assistance, counterterrorism, and crisis response. As a friend and partner of Cyprus, the US wants Cyprus to succeed. Economic prosperity in Cyprus benefits not just the people of the island, but the wider region. And it's in the interests of Europe and the United States to support Cyprus's efforts to become an increasingly thriving economic hub and to attract greater investment to its shores. The 2013 bailout and subsequent austerity measures were difficult for the Cypriot people. I know, I heard from my friends about it, I saw it when I went back to the island. But through the government's leadership, the economy's come out of its crisis stronger and has returned to growth. We commend the efforts of the Republic of Cyprus in recent years to improve the business climate and to attract greater investment. And today's gathering is a testament to their success. Still more can be done to continue increasing investor confidence and strengthening the legal and regulatory framework of the island. And as I said, there's perhaps no greater contribution than reunification to spur more investment. And we urge all of you here, as we urge our Turkish Cypriot friends and the other parties to redouble their efforts to try and get to a solution. And I'll return to this theme in a moment. Cyprus's liberal investment climate, its skilled workforce, its comparatively low wages, its recently discovered offshore energy potential all make it an especially attractive investment destination for US investors. According to our Department of Commerce's Bureau of Economic Analysis, in 2015, US direct investment in Cyprus was valued at about $2 billion, and direct investment from Cyprus in the US was about $2.5 billion. With prominent US investors, including some who are here today, injecting hundreds of millions of dollars into the Cypriot banking sector, and the Hard Rock International Melco Consortium recently winning a tender to build the integrated casino resort and conference center, with a project worth around 500 million euros, and key US companies continuing to open franchises in Cyprus, including most recently Taco Bell. I think we're well on our way to a really robust investment relationship between our countries. Additionally, American companies are playing an increasingly central role in the energy sector. Houston-based Noble Energy and its partners, the operators of the Aphrodite gas field, have invested more than $350 million, and they continue to work with government officials to complete their development plans. Houston-based Tiger Offshore has expanded its footprint in the region, and General Electric is supporting the Electricity Authority's efforts to diversify the island's energy mix. And of course, we were delighted by ExxonMobil's decision to place a highly competitive bid for Block 10 in Cyprus's EEZ, that's the exclusive economic zone, and welcomed the news of the government's decision to invite them to negotiate and finalize a contract, and we look forward to the signing in early April. The gas discoveries in the Eastern Mediterranean are important because if developed strategically, they can better connect and integrate the whole region. They can reduce the dependence of individual countries on single sources of energy, and they can lead to increased economic and political cooperation. The resulting prosperity has the potential to strengthen the energy security of countries throughout Europe, while bringing much-needed stability and increased prosperity to the Eastern Mediterranean. It's not hard to imagine a future for the Eastern Med that includes, in addition to Cypriot gas, pipelines connecting Israel's offshore resources to Jordan and Egypt and Turkey and the Palestinian Authority, many of which we might run through Cyprus's EEZ. Of course, this vision also foresees Cypriot exports to regional partners, hopefully including Turkey, as well as to European markets. Cyprus' ability to attract investment and enhance regional energy cooperation will be significantly bolstered by reunification if we can get there. International investors will see more opportunities in a reunified Cyprus, and their investment would improve the well-being of all the people of the island. Young Cypriots deserve the economic and other opportunities that this scenario would bring. After a settlement, Cyprus could also serve as a greater center of innovation and technology and as a more effective hub for companies to access markets in other parts of the Eastern Mediterranean, notably Turkey, as well as the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe. The private sector is already mobilizing capital to put resources behind a settlement, and just 2 weeks ago, the Atlantic Council, Concordia, and the One Cyprus Now hosted a conference in Washington to discuss potential investment opportunities that a settlement would bring. We intend to continue encouraging efforts like today's conference and the Atlantic Council session to further develop the valuable support from the U.S. private sector for a settlement, but also for investment now. As for the U.S. government, We remain strong in our support for a solution, in part because we believe a reunified Cyprus would serve as an engine to spread stability and prosperity, enabling regional partnerships that have long proven elusive, and it would be a model for others in search of a peaceful, multi-ethnic future. A settlement could reduce tensions between NATO allies Greece and Turkey, and improve coordination between the EU and NATO, which has long been stymied. For these reasons and more, the US remains strongly supportive of the UN-facilitated Cypriot-led settlement process to establish Cyprus as a bizonal, bicommunal federation. We believe a reunified Cyprus would generate prosperity, growth, investment, improve regional security, open up economic security and political possibilities that have been shut for 40 years. Those developments are in America's interest. That doesn't change with the change of administration, and for those who wondered if the new administration was going to be engaged as the last one was in support of those who are pursuing a settlement, indeed, we are. The US engagement for a settlement continues under the new administration and has actually intensified in the last month. Secretary of State Tillerson has made phone calls to both President Anastasiades and Turkish Cypriot leader Akıncı to convey our support. And in recent State Department and White House meetings, senior US officials reiterated their commitment to support to UN Special Advisor Ida and underscored US backing for a Cyprus settlement negotiation in the very first State Department press conference under the new administration. We'll continue doing our part on behalf of the Cypriot-led efforts toward achieving an agreement and stand ready to assist the Cypriot leaders in any way they would find useful. We've also redoubled our efforts to reconnect with key stakeholders here in the United States, including with the Hellenic American community. I recently attended events hosted by the American Hellenic Institute and the Hellenic American Leadership Council, and the US Ambassador to Cyprus, Kathleen Doherty, met just last week with key community leaders here in New York and in Washington. Your economic and political engagement with Cyprus is important. We value your partnership with us, ours with you, and we continue to benefit from your input, so thank you for your engagement. I've been watching Cyprus hopefully and closely throughout my 30-year career, and I believe that despite recent setbacks, the prospects for a solution are the best they've been in decades. This has been a Cypriot-led undertaking from the beginning, with more exceptional, pragmatic individuals leading and engaged in the process on all sides than ever before. The US will continue to offer the two leaders our support as they try to bring together the Cypriot people and bring an end to the long-standing division of the island. And we'll continue to encourage, and where appropriate, facilitate US investment in Cyprus. I hope prospective investors will take a very good look at the opportunities available in Cyprus today, many of which have been showcased in this morning's presentations, and the ever greater ones that a prospect of a solution suggests. There's a unique window of opportunity to achieve a historic political breakthrough with enormous economic dividends. This window won't remain open forever, and it's the hope of the United States that the leaders can seize the opportunity in the weeks and months ahead to realize their shared vision. We wish them great good fortune and an enduring success. To all of you, Efaristo Poli, thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for your optimism and your positive message. It goes very well along with, I think, the overall positive feelings of the day. I will kindly ask Mr. Hadjiyiannis now to come and introduce the President. I would like to thank Andreas again publicly for his help and support. It's been critical in the realization of this project. And before I step down, I also want to thank one more time, you know, in Athens, in Greece, and in Europe, I am known as the brother of Olga. And soon in Cyprus, I think we'll do the same thing when my sister takes over. I'd like to thank Olga and Elaine for really putting the whole thing together. I just followed their lead. So they say behind every man is a wonderful lady. In this particular case, you know, the other way around. So thank you again, and Andreas, please do have the honor of introducing our speaker.
Your Excellency, dear friends and delegates, the Cyprus Union of Shipowners has been among the pioneers and lead supporters of this initiative to highlight the significant role of Cyprus as a maritime, energy, and logistics hub and as an investment and business destination. We are privileged to welcome His Excellency Nicos Anastasiades, President of the Republic of Cyprus. Ministers Eurasian, and Dimitriades, Deputy Assistant Secretary Jonathan Cohen, as well as the other government and business leaders from Cyprus, Europe, and the United States, to join us today at this important international forum on Cyprus in New York City. We have been delighted to be a lead sponsor both of the Capital Link Cyprus Shipping Forum, which took place with great success in Limassol on February 9, and of the Capital Link Investment in Cyprus Forum, which is taking place in New York today. The caliber of the presenters and attendees is a testament to the interest that Cyprus can command within the American business, financial, and investment community. Cyprus is known as a major touristic destination with more than 300 sunny days per year. Having historical ties with the UK, English is widely spoken and its legal system is based on English law. Cyprus is a member of the European Union and the Eurozone, with a very stable political and tax system. In addition to this friendly environment, it also has an advantageous geopolitical location. Under the administration of President Anastasiades, Cyprus has entered a new phase of growth and opportunity across many sectors, such as shipping, fund management, energy, tourism, and a lot more. One of the most vital and promising sectors is shipping and logistics, where Cyprus has become one of the most significant maritime centers on the global maritime industry. Cyprus has one of the leading ship registries in the world and presents significant incentives and advantages, including competitive ship registration costs and annual tonnage tax, fiscal incentives, and an extensive local infrastructure in support of the maritime sector. The Cyprus Union of Shipowners is committed to the further development and growth of the Cyprus flag and to Cyprus attracting more business and investment to the wide range of opportunities that our country offers. Initiatives like the Capital Link Invest in Cyprus Forum enable us to carry our message directly to investors, financiers, and business people and alert them of the opportunities that abound in Cyprus today. Our best wishes for a productive day of dialogue and information exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, I call to the stand the President of Cyprus, Mr. Nicos Anastasiades.
It is truly a great pleasure and indeed a privilege to address such a distinguished audience, which holds a strong interest to exploring business opportunities that Cyprus has to offer, but which is also ready to work for the strengthening of the economic, commercial, and investment ties between our countries. From the outset, I would like to express my appreciation to Capital Link, and especially Mr. Ornozis, as well as to Olga, the Cyprus Union of Shipowners, my dearest Andreas, Hadjiyiannis, the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency, Christopoulos, and the Cyprus USA Chamber of Commerce for organizing this important event. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your presence and participation. A presence which aptly demonstrates that our business communities enjoy a solid and mutually beneficial economic partnership. A partnership which has which has a promising and prosperous future. It is well known that the diplomatic relations which the United States and Cyprus enjoy at a bilateral, regional, and multilateral level is at an excellent level. Nonetheless, I strongly feel that we should all aspire for further strengthen our relationship and partnership through expanding and enhancing our cooperation in key economic fields, such as banking and finance, shipping and transportation, energy and tourism. It is for these exact reasons that today I'm accompanied by the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Energy, Commerce, Industry and Tourism, foreign one, the Minister of Transport, Communication and Works, the government spokesman and director of my diplomatic office, Mr. Christodoulidis, as well as by a strong business delegation. Our aim is to exchange ideas and establish contacts and channels which will enable us to achieve a substantial and strategic upgrade of our economic, investment and business partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, during the morning sessions of this forum, of this excellent forum, you have heard about the impressive recovery of the Cyprus economy. The deep recession and the severe financial crisis are fortunately behind us. Cyprus is now on the fastest growing economies of the European Union, currently just short of 3% of the GDP. You have been informed that our banking sector has undergone an ambitious restructuring and now stands at a much healthier footing. At this point, I would like to highlight the significance of the presence of foreign investors in our banking sector, including notable investor presence from the United States, which we welcome and support. The above-mentioned positive economic developments are evidently demonstrated by the successive upgrades by international rating agencies of our economy and our investment potential, the last one only taking place last week, which have placed Cyprus for the time being just one notch below investment grade. Taking, ladies and gentlemen, into account that before I assumed office, our economy was 12 notches below investment grade, and that the junk rating, I can proudly declare, without of course neglecting the need to stay clear on our path, that we are on our way towards the full re-establishment of confidence towards Cyprus by the international investor community. And this achievement should be attributed not only to the government and the relevant Minister of Finance for the prudent macroeconomic management, but to the political parties, constructive support which defied political expediencies, and above all, to the people of Cyprus for their sacrifices, hard work, and faith that better days were to come. Distinguished friends, you have had the chance to explore the comparative end advantages that our economy has to offer, and particularly the significant potential in sectors like tourism, shipping and logistics, business and financial services. You have been also discussing the prospects of new sectors on which Cyprus is set to play an important role, including the development of the funds industry, the energy industry, and relevant auxiliary services. From my side, what I feel I should emphasize is the strong commitment of my government to continue working so that Cyprus remains firmly on a path of sustainable growth and to facilitating investment and economic opportunities. To this end, we have undertaken a series of relevant measures such as providing corporate tax incentives, reducing the time framework for issuing planning permissions, broadening the range of permitted land development for large projects, including golf courses and so on, increasing building coefficients and facilitating joint tourist developments such as condo hotels. We recognize the importance of maintaining sound public finances. We are committed to maintaining a stable and competitive tax regime. We shall continue to invest in our human capital, supporting higher education and research. And we shall continue to stand by the local and foreign business community. In these regards, we fully acknowledge the need to remain focused on the necessary structural reforms. A significant number of them have already been completed, whilst at the same time we are at deliberations with the House of Representatives and social partners towards adopting further reforms that will enable Cyprus to enhance even further its position as a business-friendly economic and investment destination. We are also in the final stages of strengthening the legal framework for the investment fund sector, which is expected to enrich the financial services industry in Cyprus and the growth of the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, following my election in office, one of the main goals of our foreign policy has been to achieve a qualitative upgrade of our relations with the United States. To this end, I'm pleased to assess that our partnership has evolved into one of strategic depth, particularly when dealing with issues of regional and global concern. Our relations have notably progressed via our joint commitment, among others, in the fight against asymmetric threats such as terrorism, illegal drugs, proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and development of nuclear weapons. In this respect, I avail myself of this opportunity to express my government's and personal eagerness to work closely with the new US administration in order to explore new areas of beneficial cooperation, as well as deepen and enhance our existing partnership for the mutual benefit of our two countries and peoples. Towards this goal, we are vigorously working on building more tangible economic and investment relations. A bilateral United States-Cyprus dialogue is in progress in order to address a range of issues of economic cooperation, particularly as regards United States investments in Cyprus. During the last few years, we have seen significant United States investments in Cyprus, and our aim is to facilitate even more of them. Our desire and wish is to encourage and support investments and commercial exchanges in both directions, taking into account the fact that Cyprus, despite its small size, is a major center of international business, but also a base from which inroads into regional markets and which can be achieved. The unique combination of EU membership, the Anglo-Saxon legal framework, the beneficial tax regime, and the high-skilled workforce continue to Cyprus' establishment as an attractive investment destination, offering significant opportunities and easier access, not only to European markets, but also to those of North Africa, the Near and Middle East, the Gulf region, and Asia. To this end, being fully aware of the strict regulatory framework of the United States and the need for transparency and accountability in all investments and business transactions, I'm pleased to note that recently our two countries have signed the Intergovernmental Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, known as FACTA. As such, American entrepreneurs can rest assured that the Republic of Cyprus provides investment security and protection in full compliance with European and international standards. At the same time, I believe that initiating discussions to conclude additional bilateral agreements in fields such as air services, maritime and tourism will significantly contribute to the further strengthening of our institutional framework of cooperation. Distinguished friends, there is one area which warrants a special reference, and this is energy. We warmly welcome and express our appreciation for the presence and involvement of American companies like Noble and now the energy giant ExxonMobil in Cyprus' exclusive economic zone, working in partnership with the government of Cyprus for exploration of hydrocarbon reserves. This not only marks a new era for our bilateral relations, but it is also a tangible sign of confidence in the role of Cyprus as a reliable regional actor who has adopted a stabilizing role in a volatile region. Our vision is to transform the Eastern Mediterranean to an energy hub that would contribute to the region's stability through, among others, the diversification of energy sources and routes. Cooperation in this field can be the guiding doctrine for the resolution of the region's political problems, contributing to conditions of peace and security. Ladies and gentlemen, today we can all rightfully feel confident and proud because we have achieved the strengthening of Cyprus' geostrategic role not only on energy-related matters, a role which we were able to assume due to the fact that we can pride ourselves as being widely acknowledged not to be guided by hidden agendas, but by a clear-cut, honest foreign policy which does not limit itself to rhetoric, but materializes intentions to real actions. A foreign policy which is cultivated through exploring synergies, optimizing resources development, and establishing interstate, bilateral, and regional cooperation with all our neighbors, with whom we share a perspective affinity as regards the vision of a stable, peaceful, and prosperous Eastern Mediterranean. On a bilateral level, I have paid to or received visits by almost all the heads of governments of our neighboring countries, such as Israel, Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, Bahrain, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, with a visit soon to take place to Lebanon. Such visits did not only lead to the institutional strengthening of our traditional bonds through the signing of important bilateral agreements, but to a strategic reorientation of our partnership. For example, the countries of Jordan, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, for the very first time, and after over 50 years since the establishment of the Republic of Cyprus, have inaugurated diplomatic missions to the Republic of Cyprus. At the regional level, we have been pioneers in establishing trilateral regional cooperation mechanisms between Cyprus, Egypt, Greece, and between Cyprus, Greece, Israel, aiming to further develop both our countries' economic, energy, maritime, tourism ties, and our overall diplomatic coordination on common challenges. At the same time, tripartite dialogues have already been initiated at the ministerial level between Nicosia, Beirut, Athens, and Nicosia, Amman, Athens, and soon meetings at the level of heads of governments are expected to take place. Distinguished friends, as regards the efforts to reaching a settlement on the Cyprus problem, as you are well aware, we are at a critical juncture in the negotiating process. Despite the difficulties we are facing, I wish to convey in the strongest manner that the Greek Cypriot side and I personally remain wholly dedicated to continue working tirelessly and with determination toward reaching a functional, and I'm underlining, functional, viable, and lasting settlement to the benefit of all Cypriots. That said, allow me just to stress that resolving the Cyprus problem would amplify even more our role in the region and would positively reinforce our ability to contribute in a positive and reliable manner to the collective efforts of addressing the multiple challenges of our region. In this respect, taking the opportunity of the presence of Jonathan Cohen, I have no doubt that the United States, recognizing the benefits that the settlement of the Cyprus problem would deliver not only for Cyprus, but also for the region and the international community, will continue exercising its influence towards Turkey to deliver concretely on its verbal commitment to positively contribute to the negotiating process. Ladies and gentlemen, the business community of the United States can rest assured that Cyprus will remain a reliable partner and will retain its position as a significant international business hub and investment destination. I'm also confident that you will all find the opportunity during the various meetings and panel discussions which are taking place today to exchange ideas and to create concepts which will enable you to act as the main drivers of the effort for further deepening and enhancing our economic and commercial relations. I assure you once more that my government stands ready to offer all help and assistance deemed necessary and will facilitate every business and investment initiative involving the United States. Thank you all for your attention, and I wish every success in your deliberation and much more successful results of this very significant forum. Thank you once again. Your